Well, welcome to a special edition of the Gary Neville Podcast. It's the Gary Neville with Jamie Carragher podcast because we've got two different sides to this particular story. We're talking, of course, at Anfield after Liverpool 4, Manchester United 0. Gary, your first impression. I didn't get the chance at the end of the commentary to bring either of you in, so let everybody know what your immediate thoughts on the final whistle were.
I think the first thoughts have to go to Liverpool. I said after the Manchester City game that Liverpool played a couple of weeks ago, they showed incredible spirit in that second half, and we looked at the fixtures that were left after the game. I think on paper you look at Liverpool's games and you think, oh, Merseyside derby. I said it at the time, Manchester United. But you're just looking historically, you're not looking at reality. And what Liverpool have done tonight is toyed with Manchester United. Actually, I'm watching Thiago and Salah do an interview here. Thiago was laughing when he came off. He was laughing at them all game. I don't normally swear on the Gary Neville podcast, but he took the out of Manchester United tonight, and that can be bleeped out, Martin, to be fair, for the older viewers. Honestly, that was so simple.
I think more for the younger viewers.
The younger viewers, yeah. That was so simple for the Liverpool players tonight. They're a brilliant team. They've got an incredible spirit. They've got a fight, a togetherness, an energy. Everything that you want in a football club. It's been building here now for 4 or 5 years. I did think pre-Christmas, a couple of months pre-Christmas, that maybe we were seeing the end of this great team. But from nowhere, I say from nowhere, from somewhere, Jurgen Klopp has got them into a position whereby they're looking unstoppable. And like I say, they've mauled Manchester United tonight, absolutely mauled them. We'll come on to Manchester United in a bit. But this is a very, very special team that we're watching. Champions League winners, league winners, and to be fair, they finished second a couple of times when in any other season they would have won the league because of Manchester City's excellence as well. We've got two great teams at the top. And I couldn't have disliked this club anymore from the moment that I went to watch Manchester United at the age of 5. But you can't help but admire and respect what you're watching at this moment in time, because it really is elite performance, passion, great football. And as an ex-professional football player and now a pundit and a fan of football, you just got to take a hat off to them and say, well done. They're at a different level. The club they were playing against tonight are a million miles away from them.
Jamie, top of the league. That must feel very good from your background and watching this team. Is it reaching a crescendo now that maybe even Manchester City can't cope with?
Maybe. I think what's been really good about Liverpool is, yes, they've been getting results, and that is important. But the performances haven't really been what you'd normally expect from them. Gary will mention, and I know when you towards the end of the season, people say performances don't matter. But when you see a team perform like that, the way they did in that first half against Manchester City, that gives me real belief going forward in terms of actually picking up another 1 or 2 trophies. I mean, it's a dream, the quadruple, I think, for now, because it can just go wrong in one game. But I think any Liverpool supporter, if you said to them you'd win the Premier League or the Champions League, they'd be absolutely over the moon and delighted and take that. You just said this is a special team. It's a special team right now in terms of Premier League history. But we've got Graham Souness in the studio, and he played for possibly the greatest Liverpool team. You think of that early 80s team that won 2 European Cups, won 4 league titles in a row, won 4 Milk Cups in a row. And I think most people would say that was the best Liverpool 4 or 5 years. This is getting very close. It maybe can't match them quite yet for trophies. And I've always said this about this team. They deserve more than what they've actually got at this moment. But that's down to Manchester City. Again, probably the greatest City team anyone's ever seen and one of the best in the Premier League. But this is one of the greatest Liverpool teams of all time. There's no doubt about that. Jurgen Klopp's actual win ratio is higher than any other manager in the club's history. So this is not just a special team right now. In Liverpool's history and the history that Liverpool have, this team is right up there. And if it did something really, really special this season that's still on, it could actually go to the top.
How much has Luis Diaz helped this surge forward from the moment he arrived at the club?
Martin, honestly, it's utterly depressing. From the moment I saw him play in the Carabao Cup final, which is the first time I'd seen the lad live, and until you see a player live, and particularly when I look at him, he's playing off that left-hand side, and I look at it from a right-back's perspective, so I think I've got a pretty good eye about what I wouldn't have liked and what I would like. And I thought, oh my God, what a player he is. His tenacity, his skill, his pace, his fight, his spirit, everything. And he's cost not a lot again. And they've found another one.
And they stole him from Spurs, I think, didn't they?
They acted because obviously Spurs were going to nip in. They probably wanted to wait till the end of the season. And yet now Liverpool have got, I say, 5 strikers. We call them strikers, the wide strikers, forwards, whatever you want to call them. That are genuinely world class. All 5 of them are. They are, honestly. I think Firmino, for me, has been one of my favourites for the last 5 or 6 years. I know he's the one that's understated. He's the one that's underrated at times. But for me, he's contributed unbelievable amounts to the performance levels of this club in terms of how he's dovetailed. You know, I always think of players that I appreciated and we appreciated at United so much that sort of maybe didn't get the headlines, but was so important to how the team connected and how the team glued together. And I think Firmino's done that role, so he's still there and he's performing well at this moment in time. Jota's been a sensation from the moment he signed. The other 2 are world stars, Salah and Mane, and Diaz looks like a star of the future, which actually in some ways takes a little bit of the pressure off the Salah situation, that they've got someone there ready to come in. That's what great clubs do. They have a conveyor belt. It's what Sir Alex did for many, many years. He got the next one ready so that no one was holding the club to ransom. Great clubs don't just build for 3 years, they then have that next player to come in, and that's what Liverpool are doing here. And what Klopp's doing at Liverpool here is a Shankly, it's a Paisley, it's a Fagan. It's one of those, it's 6, 7, 8 years of excellence we're talking about here now. He does need to win 2 or 3 more trophies to obviously cement that. He does, but I think he will this season. Manchester City have got some job on to stop them. Now, they are some team, and they could, but they've got some job on because the momentum here. The danger for Liverpool, if anything, and there is no complacency here, maybe there was for 10 minutes at the start of the second half, but that wasn't complacency. They're just doing what teams do, having a little bit of a rest in the game. The danger is that somehow they come off that pitch and think, because they beat Manchester United 4-0, Manchester United are the easiest football team to play against in the Premier League. Make no mistake about it. Every single game I watch them, every team has an absolute field day against them in terms of space, chances, time on the ball. So they shouldn't take too much from the fact that they beat United 4-0. They'll have tougher challenges in front of them. I think the form over the last couple of months has been brilliant in the sense that when you're playing massive games every 3 days, going for the amount of trophies they are, you cannot play well every 3 days. But what you can do is have that sort of what would be that togetherness and spirit that holds you together, and they've got that in abundance. And that the demand of each other. Jurgen Klopp, absolutely rollicking Van Dijk, his best probably player, most important player, after 3 minutes of the second half, and Van Dijk taking it. Robertson absolutely, again, turning on Van Dijk. That's the sort of things that you see in a winning team, a winning mentality.
Do you think that comes, though, when you think of those managers, and I always think that with the great managers, and we never had one who was maybe acclaimed by everyone. It's almost like a Ferguson, or what Jose was at Chelsea at the time, or what Wenger was at Arsenal. That's what Jurgen Klopp is right now. And I used to always feel those managers, there was the fear, but there was also the love. So the player never wanted to let them down, but they were absolutely terrified of them. So when you see Jurgen Klopp, he's bigger than any player. When you ask any Liverpool player and you said, who would you want to lose? Would you rather lose Van Dijk or Jurgen Klopp? They say Van Dijk. I can absolutely assure you, Jurgen Klopp is an absolute god here. But with the players as well, you can see that, you can feel that sort of energy from the side of the pitch. And when Jurgen Klopp actually first come to Liverpool, we knew he was a character, we knew he was a personality. I actually said at the time, this wasn't a signing just for Liverpool, it was for the Premier League. You knew there was something special. I always go back to, I played in a game at Old Trafford, I think it was Michael Carrick's testimonial. And Alex Ferguson went round the dressing room just, shaking hands, thanks for coming. I think he was manager of one of the teams. And Jurgen Klopp had been at the club about a month. And he come to me and he said, you've got a manager. I went, oh yeah, good. Jurgen Klopp had made a decent start. He went, no. He said, I'm worried. And that was at the time, I think Manchester United was still above Liverpool, but he knew through meeting him, I think at the UEFA meetings or the Champions League, whatever it was, he could feel that sort of personality. Now, we talk about great managers and your tactics and your formations and your ideas. The great managers all have that, of course they do, but it's a force of personality. And that's what Jurgen Klopp had. That's what Sir Alex Ferguson got. And that's when he mentioned sort of Bill Shankly. I think at the end of his time, it will feel like when Bill Shankly left Liverpool, the feeling with Liverpool supporters already is he's not going to go in 2 years, is he? Will he sign? People are already thinking about that now because of the effect he's had on this football club.
Well, we've given Liverpool a lot of praise. Still celebrations going on here, and there will be around Merseyside all night. We have to come to Manchester United, and in praising Liverpool, how much was that, as Gary just said, alluded to, an easier task than it ever should be and ever perhaps has been, certainly in recent memory.
Well, I said through the first half at 2-0, and it may have come back to bite me, but I did feel it would end up being about 4-0. So that's why I actually said it. But where Manchester United are right now, that was me in a Liverpool shirt trying to challenge, Manchester United, who were top dogs, who had the manager, who had everything covered, had the squad, and we feel like we're just trying to hang on to the coattails. But what I saw there today, sitting in that first half, what I saw in that first game at Old Trafford, I don't think we ever stooped that low. We lost one time 4-0 at Old Trafford, but to be not making excuses, but we had a man sent off after a minute. I think it might be, I don't know if it was the goalkeeper, or I think Sammy Hippier got sent off after 1 minute. And we kept it at 1-0 to about the 70th, 80th minute. But we got some doings off Manchester United. They were better than us. But we still had something about us, a personality, a character, because we still actually won trophies in unbelievable circumstances when we weren't one of the best teams. I couldn't imagine this Manchester United team doing something out of the ordinary, like an Istanbul, or winning an FA Cup when they shouldn't, or still beating Liverpool or Man City in a one-off game. We always still felt we had that ability to do something in a game, or when people played against us, it'd be a bit of fight, it'd be a tough game.
Something to cling on to.
Yeah.
And Gary, I don't think you saw anything to cling on to at all, did you? I don't want to put words into your mouth.
No, to be honest with you, there were a couple of Liverpool fans I saw earlier on today who said, I think, a bit worried about it, it could be difficult. But they were referring, I said it in my piece on the pitch before the game, to normal times. These are abnormal times. Liverpool are exceptional and don't get complacent. They do the job properly. They're a professional outfit. And secondly, this Manchester United team disappoint you on a consistent basis. Their performance levels are as bad as I've seen in my life. And that's from the very start of the season to the end. They've won games and they're on the points they're on, and I don't know how, because there is absolutely nothing to hang on to other than individual moments and players who sometimes turn up, sometimes the keeper saves them. There is nothing here.
Graham Souness and Roy Keane said they wouldn't take one player from Manchester United's 11 tonight and put it into a Liverpool team.
No, and I have to say, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer done a pretty decent job for the previous 2 or 3 years. Ralph Rangnick knows how to set up a football team. But they've both been totally defeated by this group of players. Now, I always think that when I watch Premier League teams or teams in League Two, and I watch a lot of the games, Marty, you watch a lot of non-league games, you'll see a team get organised away from home. They'll be 4-4-2 or they'll be 4-5-1. I don't ever see Manchester United, apart from once actually this season at Tottenham away, where they went with that 5-4-1. Do you remember when it was 5-3-2? And you thought, hang on a minute, that's compact, that's a bit different. They look like they've gone back to basics. This team, to be fair, other than that moment, I've never seen them go back to basics. And even under Sir Alex Ferguson, there were moments where we were out of form, where you just had to go back to basics. Right, we're just going to scrap today, we're going to fight, we're just going to hang in there, we're going to stay compact, we're going to play it forward, simple things, stay with our runners, get to the ball, be alert. Nothing. There's absolutely nothing here. And look, it would be easy to launch into the players, and I've done that enough during this game tonight, because to be fair, they have to take responsibility. That's them out on that pitch wearing that shirt, no one else. You can sometimes point towards the managers that Manchester United have had this season, but you have to start looking up above when you see repeated failure over a 10-year period. You have to. And I'll just say one thing. They're taking dividends out of the football club, Martin. No good business, when the core activity of that business is failing miserably, when the cash has been depleted over the last 3 years to the levels that it has, continue to take money out of the club. Yeah, maybe when the club's rich, it's winning. There's hundreds of millions in the bank. The sponsorship contracts are coming in. There isn't COVID. And the stadium's absolutely amazing and top class. You might say, OK, the owners can take a dividend. The shareholders can take some money. Not today. Out of respect, don't take money out of a business when the core activity of the business is failing, when the stadium needs hundreds of millions spending on it, when the training ground needs money spending on it, when the master plan around the stadium needs money spending on it, when the team needs money spending on it, when they need a manager who's paid a handsome wage to compete with Klopp, Guardiola and Tuchel. Don't you take money out of that club. You put it back in. Don't you take money out of that club. No good owner or shareholder takes money out of a business in a period where the core activity of that business is failing. These do, and that's why they must go. When it was Sir Alex Ferguson there was winning trophies, they were efficient in the transfer market, the club was profitable, there were heavy cash reserves. Yet, I'm a capitalist, I'm an entrepreneur, I've got businesses. I understand the theory of borrowing and lending money and taking money out of a football club, but not when the business is on its knees. Not when the business is on its knees, and the culture is set from the very top. And so I have to say,
is that an excuse for the players, though?
No.
I mentioned that in commentary. I've been here with
Carragher,
Hicks and Gillette.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is when there is failure at the top, you've just seen a manager tonight who's gone over to that fan base with those players and they're tight. You've watched those Manchester United players all season look at each other, blame the manager, blame the fans, not clap the fans. You've seen the owners not turn up. It's culture of every club is set at the top. And honestly, I have to say, yeah, Cara, the players out there tonight were in absolute shambles, by the way. That first half, I couldn't be any more damning than what I saw. Now, I'm never going to say they're not fit to wear the shirt. They should never put the shirt on again. It's too emotional. Some of those, they're good players, some of those lads. We've seen good performances from them.
But there's something rotten in the steak of Denmark, as the expression goes.
There's something rotten. And look, at the end of the day, this has been 10 years now of poor decision-making, of repeated failure, of lack of investment into the stadium, into the sort of, they've been investing in the football team, I'll give them that, but not with their own money in any way, shape or form. But my point is, look, the players out on that pitch tonight have let themselves down. They've let the fans down. Those fans at the end, there were about 3,000 United fans. There must have been about 500 left at the end. And well done to those 500 that, to be fair, stayed. And well done to those 2,500 that came and paid the money. Because I tell you what they've watched tonight is a low. Jamie's just said before, even the worst Liverpool team that we played against, I think it was probably around 95, 96, was it? 94, 95, 96? No, 95, 96, I'd say, 97, around that time, when maybe you were just breaking in. I tell you what, we never got a game as easy as that. In a million years.
Jamie, does that take some of the satisfaction? You've beaten Man United 9-0 over the course of the season, but it's this Man United. We'd be doing laps of honour until the next season starts normally, but when we say the context of this kind of game,
this Man United, yes, they're awful, they're poor, we get all that. This is one of the most expensively assembled squads in the history of the game, right up there with sort of Manchester City as well. And I totally agree with everything Gary said. When a football club is not right at the top, and I know that through the Hicks and Gillette era, we went flying at the time, sort of the years after they came in, really, doing okay, and then it just sort of fell away. And it's never going to be 100% right. But my point is, if you were playing now for that Manchester United team, or you, Nicky Butt, Phil, I'm not even talking about sort of Giggs or Scholes, lads who've got that sort of back, you wouldn't allow that to happen. I wouldn't allow that to happen.
Which is why you end up cheering Hannibal at the end, who could have got himself sent off.
You find yourself being slightly unprofessional because he's come on and, to be fair, he started to top a couple of them. But the reality of it is, I had to say it, because the instinct in you, the sort of, if you like, the 1980s, 90s, growing up through those periods, which me and him did and you did, if you're having the out on a football pitch, and if Thiago's going round there rolling his foot on the ball, pipping it round the corner and laughing at you on the bench, you come on and basically you have to throw a few challenges out. That was Whiteside. That was Norman Whiteside. That's what Norman Whiteside used to do, and Brian Robson, when they came here and they knew they were playing against better players and a better team, they'd come and give it some. And I watched a team through the 80s who didn't win the league. So this is not coming from a point of, I'm not coming from utopia, by the way, in my childhood. I came through a poor childhood because this club were winning everything. But I tell you what, those players out on the pitch, whether it was Joe Jordan or Martin Buchan or Mike Duxbury, they never did that. They never, ever did that. And that kid came on at the end and he showed something. And it reminded me of Nobby Stiles and of Eric Harrison and the basic principles of being a football player. Compete. Win your duels. Fight for every ball. And there's only one kid came on and demonstrated that he had the heart and the soul to play for Manchester United Football Club tonight. Him. And the players for Liverpool didn't like it. They didn't like it. But Thiago's gone round. By the way, Thiago tonight, he's been unbelievable, by the way. But he's gone round smashing everybody as well. He's gone round, honestly, slid into tackles. He's gone through people like you wouldn't believe. That's what the great players do. Robertson sprinted to every single ball at 4-0 and 3-0. unbelievable. I actually thought Trent Alexander-Arnold defended really well tonight, as good as I've seen him. And
Jadon Sancho gave him a few problems.
Yeah, and he was alert in his defending. He was side on, and he was low, and he was sharp.
He's got a lot more power for you. Seeing his upper body. His upper body, he can use his power, his strength now in his one-on-one defend. That was always a problem for him, but
he was good, wasn't he?
Yeah, he done really well.
One more question each, because you've got to go. Jamie, we're back here on Sunday. Everton. How does that sit in the context of trying to win the league? Is it just another game, or will there be derby influences that threaten Liverpool's position, maybe?
Well, for me, the derby, I always class that as the bigger game rather than actually tonight. For me, maybe being an Everton fan as a kid, being in the city, family and friends, some are Everton as well. So for me, it's always the biggest game of the season. I think Jurgen Klopp may actually take the emotion out of it, because he has got to be brave between now and the end of the season. He can't play the same sort of 8-9 players every game, or whether it's another 11 games to go if they get to everywhere they want to get to. I think he may look at that game and say, I may need to be brave in this game and say, this is a team who are actually 4th or 5th from bottom. If we were playing Leeds or Brentford, I'd make 5 or 6 changes. So the actual 9 he has that are sort of set in stone, 9 or 10, I think we could see a game where there's maybe Tsimikas comes in, Firmino and Jota play, maybe Curtis Jones plays. And I think it could be that one, because I don't think he'd do that in the 2 semi-finals of the Champions League.
Just one thing on that, Martin. I obviously played every single game in the run-in from Christmas right the way to the end of the season. I'm probably the only player along with David Beckham that wasn't rotated. And he came to see us 3-4 games to go and said, do you want to... It was against Blackburn. We played a game, I think, with 3 or 4 games to go in the season in its entirety. I think it was the second to last game of the season. And we said, no, we'll carry on. But our legs went a little bit later on. But what I would say is that Jurgen Klopp, he's got, I think, 10, 11 games left to manage to create something pretty historic. Sir Alex Ferguson was really bold in that last 10 games. He did take a couple of chances. You know, think of the FA Cup semi-final replay and other games where he changed things around.
Yeah, even the FA Cup final.
The FA Cup final, he made 5 changes against Newcastle. You know, Jurgen Klopp will have players at this moment in time who will be basically walking on water tonight. They'll be coming into training bouncing, and he'll know that actually the problem isn't on Sunday. Those players tonight haven't, to be fair, run a million miles tonight. They've actually floated through that game. The problem comes down the line in a game that you don't expect, when they will go 1-0 down with 10 minutes to go, and they'll need those 2 goals, and they'll need to be absolutely at it. So I think that just making sure that he won't take chances to an extent that risks the game, but he'll have to be brave in the next 10 matches to get the squad through it, to make sure. I mean, the one that always amazes me is Salah. Did he leave him on all game? I think he did, didn't he?
He did. He nearly got the hat-trick in the last minute.
I mean, he doesn't drop him. He doesn't take him off. He's unbelievable, him.
No. I think that's the end of it.
You've got to go.
Yeah, we've got to go.
I'm just trying to buy time so I don't have to in the studio.
We have.
Right.
So, thanks, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome to the Gary Neville Podcast, Jamie.